Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I'm Daniel.
I'm Chris.
And this is the Jedi Enclave Presents the Now This is Podcasting podcast, your weekly show about Star Wars, nerdom, and nerd-adjacent things. We've got, we're doing a show tonight.
Yeah.
We're doing a thing.
There's some stuff to talk about.
We got Star Wars news.
Mm-hmm.
Obi-Wan. There was a surprising thing about Star Wars Outlaws that I'm really excited to talk about. Some Daisy Ridley stuff. We are doing a list of Star Wars character death fakeouts because we were talking about this last week.
This is inspired by tech, isn't it?
A little bit. He's not on the list because it's not for sure. It's not confirmed. But we were talking about, there's like a Mace Windu thing that came up last week, right?
He's dead.
Yeah, but it's like...
He is dead. I'm sorry to be the one to have to tell you this, but Mace Windu is dead. Go on.
That being said, there's a whole list of like people died and then they didn't die, and so we're gonna talk about it and get
somehow Palpatine returned.
Yeah, we're gonna get nerdy about it, and we're gonna have a little discussion. Talk about suicide. Kill the Justice League a little bit.
Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad,
not suicide.
Yeah, suicide in general. No. And what else? I think that's more or less.
More or less. Yeah.
If you're here watching this as the podcast, because this is in podcast form that will be on YouTube in a few days, you can skip around the discussion with the time codes in the description. And also in the description, you'll find our link to all of our socials and Discord, where you can join us and chat and talk about Star Wars or other things that interest you. A quick thank you to Connor at the Star Wars Hub, our friend, our compatriot, who is almost as dedicated to civilizing the world as you are. Yeah, I'm on a mission to civilize. Yeah, go check his stuff out on Facebook, and also I think Star Wars Hub is on YouTube as well. So check that out. After this, we are going to be playing Battlefront 2 with our friends from Gremlin Squad. But then I think next week we're going to do more Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, which will be a lot of fun. But that'll be right after this, 7:00 p.m. Central. Tomorrow, Gungans and Dragons, our weekly Star Wars tabletop RPG, which is always a lot of fun. We all play characters that we're not, and we have adventures and run into weird Star Wars things. And I play a drug addict. Yeah, and
a drug addict who is also a Jedi.
Yeah, and we've got
it's basically Gregory House but blue.
No, but really, in fact, the character art that I got is a Mid-Journey mock-up that the prompt was Dr. Gregory House from the Fox show House as a Chiss Jedi. And it spit out a really good. I was like, that'll do. There's a Hutt Jedi that is obsessed with lifting weights,
muscles.
Yeah. And then there's a Mon Calamari character that eats everything.
Loves to eat things and press buttons.
He's an old man, but he has like the cognition of a 4-year-old. And there we have a sleuthy spy type, and then I play the pilot. The dashing, daring pilot.
I'm just the wheelman.
Yeah, and it's a great time. We just half the time I feel like we just talk about shit that we're like, something comes up in conversation. We're like, did you know that this like the random thing in Star Wars?
I mean, that's how tabletop campaigns go.
Yeah. And I think our Gungan master Sean mentioned we have like 10 sessions left,
10, 15, somewhere like that.
And I assume we'll do another one after that. I think we're going to switch out Gungan Masters and do like, because now that I've done this, it's like tabletop RPG is kind of fun. After I figure out the exact mechanics of the dice and stuff, I would love to tell a story like that because I got tons of ideas. I've been making up Star Wars stories in my head
since you were 10.
Right. So I got a lot of ideas. So we're going to start out with something really sad, which is that yesterday, Carl Weathers died after a lifelong career of just adventure and insane quality. We're talking about it. All the people we know on social media are talking about it because he's in The Mandalorian, played Grief Karga, which all the Star Wars fans know. But if we're being honest, in his career, Star Wars was probably the least consequential thing he's done. He's such an unmitigated, unqualified badass at everything. And he started off in the NFL. He played a ton of football. He actually did some actual fighting. I think his rise to fame in movies was Rocky, and then ended up doing The Predator, and just a ton of shit. Was in TV, and if we're going to talk about all the things in like season 1 Mandalorian, there were just quality performances. Yeah. His performance was always the best, and
it's going to be hard to imagine another season of Mandalorian without him. Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, and I'm sure that So we know that they're doing a season 4 of Mandalorian, mm-hmm. and they're doing a film, Mandalorian and Grogu. Mm-hmm. And I think the way that we all think that's going to happen is they're going to do a 6-episode season 4, and then the film is going to be like or a 4-episode season 4, and then like the movie is going to be like episode 5 and 6, right? Yes, right. So I assume that Grief, because he comes back in every season.
Yeah. He's had a pretty significant role throughout the whole show.
So depending on how much, I don't think they've started filming on either of those projects, so I doubt he'll be in it. Yeah. They'll have to figure out some, they would
have to do some like Leia in Rise of Skywalker fuckery to figure it out.
Oh, they're not going to bring her.
They probably don't even have enough footage.
Right. I don't think they'll do that. I think it's, he's off planet, or, he went to wherever Cara Dune went. Well, no, that's not true, because Cara Dune crashed her X-Wing in between. I saw that she weighed in on the Carl Weathers thing, and it she was sweet about it, which is nice. She said, she wasn't a horse's ass about it, which, with Gina
which
Carano,
is the bare minimum. Yeah,
right. Like you never know. But that was the thing. It made me really sad. The dude was just a fucking absolute juggernaut of an actor and a person. And I don't think that there's ever been a line of dialogue in any of his projects that got better than "Come on, baby, do the magic hands" thing. And we have Carl Weathers to thank for that fucking gem. Yeah. So,
the worst you could say about his Mandalorian performance is he hammed it up a little bit.
But that's the character.
It was perfect.
That's what he did. Yeah.
That character is flamboyant. So make it happen. Yeah.
Godspeed, sir. Mm-hmm. It was an absolute pleasure. Privilege. Yep. All right, let's move on to something a little more cheerful.
Okay.
So Marvel, and not like the MCU.
Okay.
Like the comic,
the comics.
The comic part of Marvel, I guess, is doing an Ahsoka series, which isn't a new series. It's a comic book adaptation of the show.
Oh, okay.
Which is really neat, because this is not the first time they've done this. They've done it for Mandalorian. All of the sequel trilogy films have a comic book adaptation, which are the Last Jedi comic book adaptation is fucking great. In fact, I usually have.
Where'd it go?
Well, I was showing it off. It's on the stand over there.
Oh, okay.
Because someone was asking about the comics in the background for when I do Battlefront, and because the covers are gorgeous, the art is gorgeous. There's stuff in it that was in the screenplay but didn't make it into the film because it was cut, so it's cool that they're doing it for Ahsoka. It makes me wonder if there'll be just a little bit of extra material in it that didn't quite make the show, that might give us a little bit more of an idea of what was happening, or if there are extended scenes or dialogue or whatever. If they give the artist license with the character looks, and I'm excited to see what they do with Baylan Skull. Because I bet that dude as a comic book character would be just so fucking cool.
He'll appear like 8 feet tall and about as wide.
Yeah, just it's like anytime you see Kingpin.
Yeah, this mound of humanity. I'm kind of excited to see what they do with the Anakin episode.
Yeah.
In the world between worlds, because like you could. In my mind's eye, I could see like every one of those scenes has a slightly different art style.
Yeah.
Just to
and you can get way crazier with it, with drawing it and doing that than you can when you have to worry about a special effects budget or whatever. So they can do a lot more with it, and that would be really neat. So that's coming. When is that coming?
I don't know. It had your name on the rundown.
Yeah, I didn't look. It's
coming soon. Coming
at some point. And it's the cover for the first issue is created by David Nakayama.
Okay.
And they've got variant covers and stuff. You should check it out. Yep. This is directly from this, like a Star Wars press release. So it should be exciting. It should be really neat.
Ewan McGregor gave an interview with Variety, just sort of reflecting on his career and a bunch of other stuff. Mm-hmm. He mentioned how weird it was to be signed for 3 movies, and then the first movie comes out and everyone hates it.
Yeah.
Because let's not sugarcoat. Phantom Menace was not very well liked.
No, it wasn't.
And it's not a very good movie.
In fact, I saw on my list of Star Wars movies. It's near the bottom. Yeah. It isn't quite the bottom, but it's down
no
there.
Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, right. I saw someone did an aggregate of all of the Star Wars movies' Rotten Tomato scores, because most Star Wars movies do fairly well. Yeah. And the couple that didn't do well are like Attack of the Clones. I think episode 1 was like one of the ones that had one of the worst scores, along with Rise of Skywalker. Critic scores. Just a reminder that if you're looking at Rotten Tomatoes, disregard the audience scores because they're very easily manipulated, and it's a whole thing. But I generally care about an intellectual opinion on, like, from people who know things about making films and stuff. But like episode 1's like kind of down there. Not has anything to do with any of that, but yeah.
He also mentioned that like he would love to do season 2 of Obi-Wan, but no one at Disney has confirmed anything.
It's not. I don't think it's going to happen. In fact, we talked a while ago about how. So like, speaking of like 3 being signed on for like a 3-part thing, I'm pretty sure that Obi-Wan Kenobi was supposed to be a trilogy, like, of films.
Yeah.
That they retooled.
Because this is way back after, like, immediately after Disney first bought Star Wars, right? And like they were throwing out all these ideas and signing everyone to all this huge contracts. That sounds
right. I just know that like they were, it was supposed to be like a different than it ended up being. And I know that they weren't very happy with the scripts because the scripts were kind of all over the place. And I think they ended up chopping everything up and kind of putting it into a Disney Plus show, which like I just rewatched this a while ago, like a couple months ago, and I don't hate it.
Yeah,
like it's cool. Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi is always really fun, and
Reva steals every scene she's in.
I honestly, the Vader stuff, I like seeing Vader again, and I know the whole. I loved Reva, and I know there's a whole thing about it, but and fucking Jimmy Smits.
Oh yeah,
it's
always good.
And Leia,
like little kid Leia, little baby Leia. Like the one bad scene little kid Leia has, it's not even her fault. It's that goofy ass chase in the woods on Alderaan.
And that's where I'm getting at, is that like there are parts of it where I'm like, I'm so glad I'm watching this. It's so cool. But then you're like, oh, there's some trash in here.
Yeah,
like it's not great. So I don't know. I know a lot of fans were like they enjoyed watching it, but they were disappointed at the wasted potential because like an Obi-Wan show could have been colossally crazy good, and it just didn't form out to be that way.
Fine.
Yeah, it was fine.
I guess the last thing Star Wars related in that interview is he reflected that the whole reason Ewan McGregor started acting was because of his uncle, Dennis Lawson, who you may know as Wedge Antilles.
He told him not to take the gig, by the way. Yeah. Because he's like, I think I'm going to be in Star Wars. And he's like, don't do it.
Do not.
Yes. And then he was like, I can't. It's like, I got to be in a Star Wars. Yeah. So yeah, that's...
You got to go join the Star Wars.
Yeah. Chris says, may the force be with you, Daniel and Chris. A different Chris, not you, obviously. I hope you are both having a good night. Rip to Carl Weathers. A huge kiss to Star Wars and the world. A huge loss. I'm sorry. I need glasses. I think. Jimmy says, good day, Enclavers. Respect to Carl how's your Saturday? It's been great.
Yeah,
we ate a shit ton of fucking spaghetti before this, and I'm feeling fat and like I shouldn't have eaten so much.
Anyway,
thanks for asking. How are you? Put it in the comments.
Yeah. What's next on the docket?
Daisy Ridley.
Okay.
Weighed in on The Rise of Skywalker.
Hey, I know her.
She was on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast.
Okay.
And expressed disappointment about the fan reaction to Rise of Skywalker.
Should have made a better movie.
Yeah, and it's, by the way,
not her fault.
Yeah, I was about to say,
not her fault.
Nothing I'm about to say
should have made a better movie.
Let me also preface this by saying that I know that The Rise of Skywalker is someone's favorite Star Wars movie. Right.
That's fine. Good for you.
And probably more than one person.
Yeah.
Like there are plenty of people that, that like it. In fact, Rise of Skywalker is one of those Rotten Tomato things where the audience score is actually like pretty high. So, so I get it. I'm not trying to shit in your Cheerios or anything. It's like you go and like whatever you want. But we've both said, I think numerous times, Rise of Skywalker for both of us are probably our least favorite Star Wars movies.
It's certainly my least favorite of the sequel trilogy.
I think it's my least favorite out of all of them.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think if we were to make a 9-part, well, I guess it'd be an 11-part.
I'd have to think about it.
It would be,
but it would definitely be in the lower half. I think
it would be last. I wouldn't even have to think about it that hard. So the thing that she weighed in on a couple of things. Like one, they talked about Rey's kiss moment with Ben Solo, and how there was amongst fans there was a feeling of
yeah,
why
it's a little weird,
why it's because they introduced the Force dyad thing, which made it. They kind of felt like siblings a little bit when they kind of they were like, oh yeah.
And also throughout at least the first two movies, Kylo Ren had this sort of stalker-ish attitude towards her.
It was not a great vibe. Yeah.
That is not what a healthy relationship is made out of.
And the kiss kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it would have been nice to have a story like that where do the main characters need to kiss? Like, can we just have This is one of the great things about Rogue One, because at the very end they don't kiss. They just
they just have a hug. Like, oh shit, we're gonna die.
Yeah.
Let's just have a hug and we're gone.
Yeah. There was another interview too where she was talking about how the stress of making these movies had a kind of an impact on her health and stuff. And it sucks that she was kind of upset about the fan reaction because it wasn't her fault.
Yeah.
And by the time Rise of Skywalker came around, I would say that she really kind of got into she really kind of figured herself out as an actor, and her performances got better and better, right?
That's part of why I'm so excited about the new Star Wars movies, is because Daisy Ridley has progressed a lot since the last time, since she started playing this character.
So she still really likes it apparently, and that's great.
She's super excited about the script, which is a good sign.
Oh, for the new one? Yeah. She said something to the effect of the script was cool as shit or something, which is all right, you got me. I'm interested. All right,
let's talk about video games. So Star Wars Outlaws, you might remember Ubisoft announced at, I forget which big announcement,
it was like E3, wasn't it?
Which was probably the last E3 ever.
Yeah, because they're like, why are we it's pretty much just a video game ad, and everyone's like, we just do this ourselves.
We can do this ourselves, or we can outsource it to Jeff Keighley, the Games Award guys.
I just like how Ubisoft is like, we have a YouTube account.
Yeah,
we'll just drop all of our shit there.
We can just put trailers out. Whenever we want.
Right. Rip E3.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
A product of an earlier time.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, so Ubisoft might be going through a little bit of internal trauma with some layoffs, and their last Assassin's Creed game was maybe not so great.
Yeah. They have a game coming up that they have an open beta.
Pirate game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm not super invested into pirates, but I was like,
Okay, this looks like it might be cool.
I'll try to ship around. I'm gonna do the open beta, and if it sucks, I'll be like, fuck you, I'm not doing it.
So the upshot of all this is that Star Wars Outlaws might be coming kind of soon. Like
that was the thing I was surprised about.
Q1 or Q2 of this year.
Yes. Okay. So we reported. I always say that we're not reporters.
We didn't report shit.
Yeah. We read what other people report, and then we talk about the shit that we think. We
editorialize.
Yeah. We are not reporters. We do not use us as a source for anything.
We're two jagoffs on the internet.
Exactly. That the goal was to have the game by the end of the year, right? Which I was like, oh, that sucks.
Kind of a wait. Yeah.
How much longer am I gonna have to play Battlefront 2? I need another Star Wars game.
Yeah.
But I think it looks like the rumor is that they might be fingering. I said that on purpose to be weird. May the 4th as a release date, which is around the corner.
Yeah. So I really, really hope that this doesn't mean the game is going to be a rushed, buggy piece of shit on release.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Because like that's my biggest concern when I hear that, okay, this game was targeting the end of the year and now it's going to come 6 months early.
Yeah. And now we're going to crunch for the next 3 months or whatever. Yeah.
That I guess is like concern 1B to 1A. Don't be a buggy piece of shit.
Yeah.
1B is please don't abuse your staff in order to make this.
Yeah. Which they're going to do anyway. That's how the industry works. And it sucks, maybe in like the best of all possible worlds, like they're like, oh, this might actually be kind of ready. Like
that's also possible.
Yeah. They just,
I can't think off the top of my head of a single video game where people have said, yeah, production is going really well. We're ahead of schedule. We're ready to just drop it 6 months.
It's always like, can we have 10 more years to finish this?
Exactly. It's always, we need more time. Yeah. We need to delay this. There's a shit ton of bugs. We underestimate how much work this would be.
Yeah. As we all know too, Ubisoft is a piece of shit company with a piece of shit CEO that does shitty things to its employees. I'm going to tell you, man, my default expectation now for games in the AAA game market is it will be a mess when it releases, and there will be some kind of apology that has to be issued in JPEG form on their Twitter. And it's
I still remember, do you remember the Cyberpunk 2077 Twitter messages where just the yellow background with a bunch of text on it?
Yep.
And like I forget, some other game company just put up a message like, today we felt like putting a message on a yellow background.
Yeah it's just I hope it's good. I am prepared for it being a mess.
The default attitude to take here, I think, is it's a AAA game. I'll wait a year, get it on like a winter sale or something when patches have hopefully fixed the worst of it.
I will get it on day one. Yeah, it's a Star Wars game, especially since we stream games. I'll take the hit for everyone. So if it's a mess, hang around the YouTube channel and the Facebook Live channel, I'll say if it's a mess. Like,
thank you for your sacrifice.
Casey says, "Good to see you guys. There's much positive to discuss about Carl and his contributions to the Mando series." I agree.
Jimmy says, just Mando series. He had a fantastic career.
Jimmy says, "I remember reading about Daisy being warned by the director that it wasn't just a movie, that a lot of people treat it like a religion."
Yeah.
I mean, that's true. And
I mean, if she talked to Dennis Lawson, he would have told her, don't do it.
Yeah. or
probably anyone who's ever made one of these movies.
Why am I blanking on this guy's who played Obi-Wan in episode?
Ewan McGregor.
No. The first Obi-Wan. Yeah, Alec Guinness. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. The spirit of Alec Guinness. I'm so sorry. Like, because that son of a bitch would be like, don't ever do any of these movies. No.
It was a paycheck.
Yeah, I bought a summer house. I just wanted a summer house.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, apparently he was the one on set in episode 4 that was an absolute professional and an absolute gentleman. And in Tunisia, with 120 million degree weather, everyone's faces are melting off. He's the one keeping everyone's morale up and everything. Which, class act.
Good for him.
Yeah. So. The religion thing is a really good point. And I mean, as an atheist, by the way, I think the closest thing to a religion that I could possibly have is probably Star Wars. At least I know that it's fictional though, and so it's not a problem.
Yeah.
Like I don't vote based on people's
You don't vote based on what Luke Skywalker tells you to
right,
do.
or what people think of Luke Skywalker, if they believe Luke Skywalker is real or not. So speaking of video games, let's talk just a minute about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
Okay.
So I didn't buy this game.
Neither did I.
I need to say this up front. Like, I have not played it. For a couple of reasons. I've watched most of the cutscenes and I understand the story and stuff. I'm so sorry for what I'm about to say. I get that, like, some people's nerdom starts with DC.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
Some people just like Superman,
Right.
and that's okay.
My interest in DC begins and ends with Batman. I don't care about any of the rest of them. I don't care about Superman. I think he's kind of a boring hero. I don't care about Wonder Woman. I don't care about the Green Lantern. And look, I know that, like, there are people out there like, that's my favorite fucking character.
Yeah.
That's great.
How dare you not like the Flash?
I don't like the Flash. I'm so sorry, and I get that doesn't mean that your love of those characters isn't valid, and I'm sure that you could tell me all the things about those characters that you love, and that's great, right? I just don't care about them that much, right? However, when I was a kid, before I realized this was not a valid career option, I was like, I'll just be Batman when I grow up. Like that, that was my thing.
Just be a rich billionaire,
right?
And dress up like a bat at night.
First step,
punch criminals.
Get rich. Second step, get Batsuit. It was just like, I had it all figured out. And it's mostly because I watched the Tim Burton movies when I was a kid, right? So, like, this game, I was like, is Batman in it?
Okay, yeah, he is.
So let me also preface this by saying that Rocksteady did not release review codes.
Yes, that was a huge red flag for me,
which is why I didn't buy it as well.
Because, like, ordinarily game companies like to get a bunch of press, so they send out copies of their game to
everyone can be like, oh my gosh, it's so good.
So they can get reviews and get the press. And when they didn't, that suggests that you have something to hide.
Yeah, right. Now, that being said,
even I'm sorry to go back to it again, but Cyberpunk 2077 sent out review copies.
Cyberpunk 2077 that's the well that you can just keep going to as like the example of the shit disaster of a game, right?
And
which apparently they've
turned around.
I know.
It's a pretty good game nowadays.
Yeah, it's kind of like what they did with Battlefront 2, where they're like, we turned it around. It made a comeback. And it's like, or you could have not fucked it at the beginning, but that's just me. So anyway, now that I've seen some gameplay, it looks like a good, like, pretty okay game.
It's fun.
Right. They're doing a live service thing with it, which immediately I'm like, what the fuck ever. However, I will say personally, I don't, I know, like, people have been talking about how the mechanics are pretty fluid and how the fighting mechanics are good. As a rule, like, the kind of games where, like, you shoot at someone and every time you hit, there are, like, little numbers that fly out and everything's very busy and, like, there are little symbols for everything, and I need a fucking legend to know what they mean and shit. I generally don't love games like that. Like, give me a fucking Arkham Knight, which I realize not everyone universally loves, or like Arkham Asylum, or those.
You just want to be Batman and punch bad guys,
right? So this game happens in that continuity, by the way. Which I was like, okay, so let's see where this story goes. Now, the game is called, spoilers, by the way, we're not going to talk a bunch about this, but spoilers, the game is called
Kill the Justice League.
Yeah, Kill the Justice League, and they do. They kill all of them.
Okay, good. Truth in advertising, very important.
It's Harley Quinn, fucking King Shark Dude, Deadshot, or Deadpool. I think it's
Deadshot. Deadpool is Marvel.
Right. I don't love Marvel either, by the way, except for Iron Man and Captain Marvel. Captain Boomerang, who has one of the most offensive Australian accents I've ever heard anywhere. Like, that's not what Australian people sound like, really. It is really offensive.
Is it like adjacent to a New Zealand accent? Because that would just make all Australians even more angry.
That would be way too polite. Well, like, that accent would be way too polite. It reads as Cockney English a little bit, and it's very bizarre. And I think that
doesn't matter. You're a bunch of quote unquote anti-heroes,
and it's funny. Like, there's some great jokes in it. They kill the Flash. Superman kills Wonder Woman. They kill the Green Lantern. And then to, I guess, draw Superman out or whatever, so the whole thing is that Megamind has taken over Earth and has brainwashed the Justice League. So there's nothing of them left. They're just drones, but they still have access to their powers and their skills and stuff. So and like Amanda Waller is played by the same actor that plays Seer.
Oh, okay.
And so it's like her performance is really good. And so to draw Superman out, they've captured Batman, who's the Batman from Arkham Knight, voiced by Kevin Conroy.
Oh, right. That would have been his last role, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and spoilers. Spoilers. Harley Quinn pulls out a gun and shoots him in the head. It's very irreverent. And fans kind of freaked out about it a little bit, right?
I can see how it would not land so well.
Yeah.
Because like in context of just those characters completely divorced from reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, it makes sense. That's something that she would do. And you know, like in the context of Kevin Conroy died before this game came out.
Yeah. Now here's the thing.
Not so great.
People are upset about that. And that instead of making another Arkham Batman game, this is what we got. Yeah. And people kind of assumed that it was Kevin Conroy's last performance as Batman, which it turns out isn't true.
Oh,
there are 3 other projects apparently that are floating out there. I think a couple of them are animated that they're going to release that will have posthumous performances in. So it's not his last performance as Batman.
Yeah.
So if that was your big problem, like, rest assured, you know, they'll do better by that. If your problem is I don't like seeing Batman die, I kind of get that, because like he's fucking Batman, right? And I've never enjoyed in the comics or anywhere else where someone else plays Batman. I'm like, no, I want Bruce Wayne's Batman, but they don't care about the other Batmans. Fuck the other Batmans.
Ultimately, though, I think it comes down to they're not real people. Like Bruce Wayne is not a real person. Batman is not real.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue with you about people's personal connection to it, and
sure, like
it's kind of like when Luke died. Like when I saw the Last Jedi for the first time, I was like, oh, I don't know if I like that.
Like you can still have a personal connection to these stories and these characters. That's fine.
Yeah,
but they're not real people.
Yeah, and also like they're doing a multiverse thing in the game anyway, so it could be like
everyone has a multiverse.
So it could be a an like other world thing, and it could be like maybe it was the universe that looks a lot like the Arkham universe, but like Harley Quinn has not as much pubic hair in this one or something, like some like random little like alteration or whatever. I don't know why I thought about anyway. So it looks like the game was better than people thought it would be because of the review codes and stuff. People are a little upset about the Batman thing. Watching it, it's like the story's kind of cool. They're funny. Like, the whole thing's funny. And yeah, Batman died, and that's all right.
Sucks, but
It's not like they retired the character.
Yeah.
It's not like they're like, this is the last Batman story you'll ever get.
Yeah, you're going to get plenty of Batman stories from here until forever.
And it's not the last Kevin Conroy Batman story, too.
I think that's important.
If it really was, then we'd revisit it and be like, do you think this was the... And of course, they couldn't have seen...
there's not much you can do unless you've recorded Kevin Conroy for an entire alternate storyline.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah. All right. So Chris says, I hope Star Wars Outlaws comes out soon, and it works. Me too. Why didn't Rocksteady just make another Batman game or an open world game? I am there with you. Open world Superman game, which I think people have wanted for a while now. Mm-hmm. Superman is a hard video game character to make.
Yeah, he's too powerful.
Yeah, it's the same reason why I don't love Superman to begin with. It's like he's kind of boring. You got to get a kryptonite dildo, and that's the only way you can beat him, right?
Yeah.
So Casey says, I'm so sorry. So his accent basically mid 1800s convict. Most Aussies don't mind if you confuse our accents with New Zealanders. Let me tell you, my grandfather and my great grandfather would have, with a lot of profanity, disagreed with that.
As a third party, it is my understanding that Aussies and Kiwis kind of cordially loathe each other.
I think it depends on where you're from, and because I don't think it's a huge thing. But plus, I love me some Bad Batchers and Omega. Yeah,
Omega.
That's a really annoying New Zealand accent. All right. What
is there anything else?
Did we get? Hold on, let me check.
We might have hit everything.
We did. Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah. Cool. So let's get to the next thing. Okay. Everyone has an idea in Star Wars about a character that they like that died.
Mm-hmm.
That because you haven't seen their body dead and mangled on the floor with bones sticking out,
mm-hmm.
and then taking their last breath, that they're actually alive.
Of course.
And it annoys me a little bit. Yeah. Chris, I won't lie to you. It annoys me.
So why do you think Tech is still alive in Bad Batch?
Well, we'll get there. Or we might not. I don't know. But like Mace Windu comes to mind,
mm-hmm.
right? Because I know a lot of people, it's because everyone likes Mace Windu.
Yeah.
And they're like, we want more of that story, right?
I also like Mace Windu,
yeah.
But he's dead.
Now, there's a reason that people can kind of reason themselves into thinking this.
Yeah.
It's because Star Wars has faked so many character deaths that to a certain point, death doesn't mean very much. It's one of the reasons I don't love it, because when you do that, when you have characters that die on screen or that are presumed dead,
mm-hmm.
they come back later. You're just like, the next time a character dies, like with Tech, you're like, he's not dead. He's coming back, right? So
he had a parachute in his belt or something. Right. He's fine.
So I've made a list of character deaths so far in Star Wars that have been either eventually walked back or walked back in the same film,
mm-hmm.
Which like 4 of these are from Rise of Skywalker.
Okay.
Which is one of the reasons I do not like that movie so much, right? So we're going to talk about them. A lot of these I think were just unneeded or unnecessary.
Yeah.
And I think, like, if you kill someone, just fucking let them die.
They should die.
Just let them die. And you know what? It hurts, especially if you're a fan of that character. But like, that's what makes something good, is when it makes you feel something.
Mm-hmm.
So just let them die. We're going to talk about it a little bit. If you're here watching this as our YouTube video, make sure you like and subscribe and comment with your thoughts. Or if I missed one, I'm sure I missed
mm-hmm.
at least one. Put it in the comments as well. And we'll have a little discourse. The first one, I think the one that everyone always thinks about is Darth Maul.
This dude got cut in half and fell down a bottomless pit and survived.
Yeah.
Survived.
Okay, so this is a special case, because it was not George Lucas's intention to have him.
So it wasn't George Lucas's idea, and also kind of turned out pretty well. Like the stories that Darth Maul, some of the stories that Darth Maul was involved in posthumously, were actually kind of okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that they did well by the character.
Mm-hmm.
If you get past the idea of him surviving what happened to him, which if you can suspend your disbelief for that, then fine.
Once again, he was cut in half and dropped down a bottomless pit. Both halves were dropped down the bottomless pit.
Here's the thing. I don't think they should have ever killed him in the first place.
Yeah.
I think that Darth Maul could have been the specter that they're fighting against the entire trilogy,
mm-hmm.
and have him die, have Anakin kill him at the end or something. And
I think if you just more or less have him do the same things Dooku does in episodes 2 and 3,
and Grievous,
or that
it could do the whole arc, right? So
mm-hmm.
I know they had Grievous because they wanted a proto Darth Vader, where they're like, this technology is kind of around. You have someone
mm-hmm.
who's mostly just a sack of fucking organs.
Yeah.
You know,
there you go.
They could have done the same thing, where like by the end he's cut in half or something, and he's got the spider legs, and mm-hmm. like he's kept alive by a thing, and
more machine now than man.
And then Anakin kills him, and I think visually Darth Maul is such a cool looking character, and the twin lightsabers and shit, like he could have been around all 3 films, and I would have been just fine with it, and it'd been really cool. And since he was around for so long, you could have given him a really good character arc. And I'm going to say something maybe a little controversial. Despite loving Christopher Lee's performance as Count Dooku, I don't like the character. I think the character's just kind of an idiot, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I don't like General Grievous as at least in the he's really cool in the 2D animation. Like he's scarier in episode 3. If we're going just by strict movie canon,
what the casual would have seen of him.
It's kind of an idiot. I just didn't like him very much either. And so like if they just would have replaced both of those with Darth Maul and just had him, he could have been a former Jedi that disappeared.
If they gave him actual lines.
Yeah. Like the Jedi Council could have been like, wait, isn't that Jim?
Yeah.
That disappeared 20 years ago?
What the fuck, Jim?
Yeah, Jim, what the fuck, man?
Why are you so edgy now?
Yeah,
just calm down.
Yeah, so that could have been the fallen Jedi thing that Count Dooku kind of did, and then they could have like Jim could have got cut up and shit, and was in a suit or something with spider legs and shit, and they could have done the Grievous thing. Yeah. So Darth Maul, yep. Palpatine.
Somehow Palpatine in a movie full of dumb shit. Somehow Palpatine returned manages to be the dumbest.
Yeah, it's so I get from the character's perspective. If you're Poe Dameron, that's what you would think. That's how you would think about it.
Yeah, but that's not how you should phrase it. Like for dramatic effect.
Yeah, I could totally like they'd be like, "How did Palpatine return?" And Poe Dameron would be like,
"Somehow,
I don't fucking know.
I just fly ships, man.
I have no idea. I have no idea what I'm doing here. Yeah, it's just like this whole area. I don't know anything about.
Outside my expertise.
Yeah. That being said, so the Palpatine being resurrected isn't new to Rise of Skywalker.
Of course.
Obviously, in the Dark Empire comics, he comes back. And if I'm being entirely honest, it was kind of stupid then too. It's like, all right, do we have to bring Palpatine back? Like, let's have a new bad guy. That I'm sure that will be a little controversial. I know people really love those comics, and don't get me wrong, the comics are actually really cool. Like, I really enjoy the comics. In fact, I've got one right there. Yep. But now, if we had a plan for the sequel trilogy, before they made it, they could have made the Palpatine coming back thing work really well. For example,
if they had hinted at the whole Palpatine is controlling.
Well, how about this? How about instead of having Palpatine's return being announced in a Fortnite event?
Don't ever let Lucasfilm, don't ever forget that.
Yeah.
Do not ever forget that Disney brought Palpatine back in fucking Fortnite.
Which was an event leading up to Rise of Skywalker. And so the whole gag is that you're playing your Fortnite. I don't know what Fortnite is. And all of a sudden, all of the radios in the galaxy turn on. They all start broadcasting the same thing, which is a message from Palpatine, which is more or less, I'm back, bitches.
Sup, bitches,
yeah.
I'm back.
If they would have planned everything out, and at the end of The Last Jedi, fucking Broom Kid uses the Force, sweeps his shit off, radio comes alive. That's the last thing you hear in The Last Jedi is Palpatine being like, I'm back, bitches. I guarantee you, no one would have bitched about that movie. Everyone would be like, oh my God, that's my favorite Star Wars movie. And it would have been cool as fuck, right? Boba Fett.
Okay.
I don't mind so much about this character resurrection.
Yeah.
Because he was okay. So
okay. The first thing I'm going to say is that they set this up in Return of the Jedi when C-3PO says the Sarlacc is going to digest you and you're going to spend 3,000 years in agonizing pain. Yeah. You can't feel agonizing pain if you're dead.
Right.
So it makes sense that the Sarlacc swallowing you does not instantly kill you.
The first thing you have to decide, based on only what you know from Return of the Jedi, not any of the canon or legends or canon stories. The first thing you have to decide is Boba Fett a dumbass? Because if the only thing you know about Boba Fett from Return of the Jedi is that he's a dumbass.
Yeah.
Right? He gets his jetpack gets hit, he falls in, and that's the end of Boba Fett, right? That being said, he had a fucking cool look. And fans liked him, which is why they brought him back. But so this is one where I'm like, all right, this is cool.
Okay, I'll allow it.
Yeah, and because also he it makes sense that he's got the fucking armor, you could keep him alive. It's more or less what they use in the story too.
Sure, yeah.
Cobb Vanth. So you might remember this in the Book of Boba Fett. There is this badass. Say what you will about Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian season 2.5 that happens in the middle of it. the Cobb Vanth versus Cad Bane, where he walks in, you see a figure on the fucking sand dunes, and he's walking, the air
straight
shimmering
out of a Western. Yeah.
And they do the thing where the camera's behind the gun and the fingers twitch and shit, and he just shoots the shit out of Cobb Vanth, right? This is one of those things where like you're like, he's not dead, right? Maybe he should have been.
Yeah.
But they resurrect him, like, I think 2 episodes later,
something like that,
like right for the finale. So this is another one where I'm like,
it's Timothy Oliphant. Yeah, I'll forgive a lot.
I enjoyed him coming back because he's a handsome man to look at. But Fennec Shand.
Speaking of Robo Abs, so this made sense to me in context, because like you see her, she gets shot in the gut. They leave her, and then the very last shot of that episode is what we now know as Boba Fett finding her. Yeah. So like, I can understand that. Yeah, she was found not long after she got shot, and we know from Book of Boba Fett he gets her immediately to the fucking Robo Doctor. Yeah. So okay, makes sense.
She gets her Robo Abs. Yeah. Remember, this is a list of just fake outs, and this is one of them. Is a fake out. Yeah. It didn't last very long because I think it is in that episode, like a post credits, that they do the. Yep. Yeah. Ahsoka. Okay, so Ahsoka got 2 fake out deaths.
Oh, only 2.
Let's do well, actually 3. Actually, if you count the show.
There we go.
The live action show. So let's do this in chronological order.
Okay.
Clone Wars. She and Obi-Wan and Anakin go to Mortis, and she fucking dies. She's killed, and she's like dead. Body is cold, and through some
Force mumbo jumbo,
they resurrect her.
Okay,
and then there's the more ambiguous events of Rebels. On Malachor, where she and Vader duel. I won't leave you this
Rocks
time.
fall, only Vader walks out.
Right. And then the owl thing flies around. And then in Ahsoka, she gets kicked off a ledge.
Baylan Skoll kicks her into the ocean, and she is unconscious and under that water for a very long time.
Now that fake out doesn't last too long, because like I think wasn't there post credits for that, or was like the last scene of that episode was like CG Anakin.
I think so.
So like that one didn't last very long, but like there are 2 other like solid fake outs where you're like, oh, okay. I don't think that Dave Filoni had the ability to kill Ahsoka.
No.
It's like it'd be like murdering his daughter or something.
That's his favorite character. Yeah. Like he brought her into this world. He's going to take her out in a very specific way.
I'm gonna do the next one of the. I'm gonna do it a slightly different order than I have. But one of the ones I don't love, and it doesn't. The fake out doesn't last very long. I just don't like the choice that was made. And this is in my 3rd favorite Star Wars movie, by the way.
Okay.
Is Leia in The Last Jedi. So you might remember they're all hanging on the ship. Kylo's like, I'm gonna kill my mom, and he's like, oh wait, that's a little too hardcore for me.
My mom.
And so his buddy's like,
it's not my mom. Fuck you.
So he's like, fuck it, I'll do it. The bridge blows up. She's sucked out into space. I remember,
and she does the force flip and goes back inside.
I remember seeing this for the first time, just like stunned, because Carrie Fisher just died. And we were all wondering how Star Wars was gonna, or how Lucasfilm was gonna deal with her passing.
God, is that it?
I thought it was, and I remember thinking, God, Carrie Fisher would have loved this. Like if just out of nowhere,
how'd she say she wanted her obituaries reported? Swimming and drowning in moonlight or something?
Well, in moonlight, strangled by her own bra.
Yeah, there you go.
But I thought that would have been such a gutsy way to like Leia goes out in a fucking battle, right? She's not every hero necessarily has a right off into the sunset kind of a thing, and
it's a war, people die,
and she was a general, right? And then in the next scene, and I get that the CG is kind of wonky and it's the whole thing. That's a different thing, but Phasma.
What a colossal waste of a character.
It's kind of like a Boba Fett kind of thing, where like the character looks really badass, but
she doesn't really do much.
Based on just what you know in the film, is she a dumbass?
She's kind of an idiot. Yeah.
But so
like she gets stuffed down a garbage chute
right
off screen in the first movie.
Yep. And then the planet blows up.
Yeah.
And you find out that she survives and everything. And then she has
somehow Phasma returned.
Right. She shows back up in The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
There's a great deleted scene, by the way, where Finn practically convinces her lackeys that she's a traitor because she was the one that lowered the shield on Circular Base, and she kills them because they look like they might like draw on her.
Yeah.
And then they get in a fight and she falls into fire.
Yeah.
Which maybe she didn't die there either.
I mean, the ship then got split in half and blew up?
Oh yeah. It's some pretty bad damage. Yeah. I'm gonna do all of the Rise of Skywalker's the Rise of Skywalker ones last.
Okay.
So before we get there, I want to do the Grand Inquisitor and Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I thought was so fucking stupid because if you're even a casual fan of Star Wars past the films, like you know that the Grand Inquisitor isn't dead because he shows up in comics and shit after that.
Yeah.
And so like what is the point of this? And the way that he just they kill him in the second episode, Reva kills him.
Something like that, yeah.
And then in the second to last episode, he just shows up and he's like, I'm alive. That's it.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I'm alive. Deal with it.
I have plot armor, bitch.
Yeah. And that fake out didn't make sense because he died and then Reva's like, oh, I'm going to be the Grand Inquisitor. And then Vader makes her gives her the pin and shit. And then he's like, I'm back. Give me that pin back. And you're just like, well, what's the point of this?
Yeah.
That's fine. All right. The Rise of Skywalker has so many character death fake outs in it.
Mm-hmm.
The first one that I was like, why? Why would you do it this way is Chewbacca.
Mm.
Fans, I think, are a little primed to accept a Chewbacca death because he dies in Legends and it's not a fake out.
He goes out in about the most badass way you possibly could.
Now I know a lot of fans were upset about it because it was a main character that dies, and I get it. It's very sad.
That was their way to kick off the Yuzong Vong War, which was this whole big the stakes are higher than ever storyline. And to be honest, it took dropping a moon on his head to kill Chewbacca.
Right.
You can't go much more badass than that.
I will say that I would have liked it more if Chewbacca died and Rey had to carry the guilt of it instead of just 2 scenes later being oh, I'm not a terrible person.
Yeah.
Having to carry, because she obviously didn't do it on purpose. She lightens the thing. It's clearly not on purpose, but having her try to reconcile that would have been some deep character work, right? Yeah. 3PO has a character death fake on this one.
Oh yeah.
Where they're like, we're gonna erase your memories. And
my last memory of my friend.
Yeah, which is hilarious because it's you would think that in his mind, Leia, Luke, Han, Lando, those guys, those would have been his friends. Doesn't matter. I don't want to just shit on Rise of Skywalker all night. It's one of those things where
that said, we're only halfway through the fake outs here. Yeah. So
Rey gets a fake out death.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense to me. First of all, why? Why did she die? Because she doesn't get hit by lightning. She's she double fists the lightsabers, deflects the lightning. Palpatine dematerializes. She's
lost the will to live.
And she just it's done. The throne gets blown away. All the fucking guys in the audience all fucking die. And she drops her arm. She's like, well, I guess I'll fucking die now. Just falls over.
I think the intention is that overcoming Palpatine took absolutely everything she had. And so there's no more energy to keep her heart beating or whatever.
But it was her lightsabers.
But yeah, they don't communicate it very well.
She beat him the same way Mace Windu beat him.
Yeah.
You'd think, by the way, that Palpatine...
You'd think Palpatine would know, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I've seen this before. Let me try something else.
Yeah. It's I'm an expert swordsman. Maybe I fight get the lightsaber out of the equation and then use the lightning.
Yeah.
Or he starts doing it and he's like,
wait a minute.
Yeah, hold on.
I just got these fingers back. I don't really want to lose them again.
Yeah. And which leads to a weird thing where Ben, resurrects her and then dies. And that part of it makes sense because he's like transferring his life because they set that up earlier in the film and stuff. But Ben Solo also has a character fake out death.
That's right. He got knocked down the bottomless pit and then climbs up just in time.
Right.
Just oh shit, Rey's dead.
Yeah. Now the way it's shot, it looks like he like falls into the bottomless pit and you're like, oh, okay. Now I don't think anyone expected him to stay dead, to be fair, but it's still a fake out nonetheless. Yeah. And it is one of the cooler lines that Palpatine, because like say what you will about the movie, Palpatine's lines are kind of bangers, like all of them.
Ian McDermott did a pretty good job.
Yeah, he did not fuck around. And what was his line? He's like, as once I fell, so falls the last Skywalker or something. And you're like, you got a chip on your shoulder. Yeah, he's been waiting to say that for a long fucking time, which I'll never forget. Also, the least favorite Star Wars movie easily.
Still has some cool parts.
One of my favorite moments in all Star Wars is just like Palpatine's like, guess how much lightning I can do. All of it. Yeah. It's like, that's pretty fun.
Let me just blow up some shits in orbit with lightning.
The other moment being, I hate on a mechanical level, but seeing it happen, Ben Solo reaching back, getting a lightsaber and being like,
the Force, what are you going to do?
No, all right, let's fight now. I forgot, didn't make the list. Cassian Andor has a character fake out death in Rogue One. He gets thrown down the thing and then he shows up at the end and saves Jin from
saves is relative because
right. Prolongs her life.
Fucking die.
Yeah, prolongs her life for a few minutes and then dies anyway. So that's our list.
Tell us what we forgot.
Yeah, or
tell us which ones you liked, and tell us the one. Well, no, just tell us the ones you liked.
Yeah, or like or what you thought of them, or whatever. What you think of the general. The general thing. We have enough time to read some of these chats. So if you want to get your chats in, get them in quick. Oh God, maybe I won't read all of this. Chris says. I really feel like in Bad Batch Hunter is going to be the last Bad Batch member to die after he does something to make sure Omega is completely free from the Empire. So you think all of them will
die? Could be.
I think Tech's going to come back. Will I love it? Probably not. Bobby says Maul and Ventress should have been heavily featured in Revenge of the Sith. That would have been cool. Ventress would have been a cool character to bring into live action as well. Yeah. Jar Jar should have been Darth Plagueis. Now, I know this is a joke theory about Jar Jar as a Sith Lord. Yeah, and they had to do the Palpatine thing because that came. The original trilogy came first. However, as a story twist, if you're not constrained by the Palpatine thing that has to happen, if you get to Revenge of the Sith, and fucking Jar someone finds out about Jar Jar
and Sidious pulls back his cloak and says, "It's a me."
Yeah, well, he doesn't do that. Like, it wouldn't be that. It would be like when he's denying it, he'd be doing the stupid Jar Jar thing, and when he realizes that he's been made by Mace Windu, he just drops the accent and just has like this real low like scary voice where he is like, "It's about time you figured it out," and draws a lightsaber. That shit would have been on par with Vader as Luke's father as far as a twist in a movie.
Counterpoint: fuck Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah. It couldn't happen because we know that it's Palpatine.
Because we know it didn't happen.
Casey says Grievous was an absolute animal in the 2D Clone Wars. Nightmare fuel. I agree. Revenge of the Sith would have only benefited from its secondary villain being able to fight and kill a number of Jedi at the same time, but the movie shows him as more of a typical cowardly henchman.
Also by that point, Grievous had his organs kind of squished.
Yeah, his ball sack.
And he was no longer ship shape.
Last Jedi was the best sequel. Agreed. Bobby says, if not Jar Jar, Snoke would have been Plagueis. I remember the Snoke being Plagueis theory floating around. It didn't make sense on his face because before that, in I think it's Lucino's book, we know that Plagueis was a different species than Snoke, so that never really made sense.
He was immune.
The Red Skywalker is a pile of shit. Yeah, like I said, like I know it's someone's favorite.
If it's your favorite,
movie.
great.
Yeah,
it's not ours.
Yeah. Chewie dies saving Anakin's soul. That's Plagueis must have. Casey says Plagueis must have manipulated the Jedi Order to banning dual wielding because he knew the two lightsabers were the only thing that could defeat his apprentice. Jimmy says, I'm generally happy with any Star Wars content. Complaining doesn't suit me. Yeah, we say this often.
We try to be positive and talk about the things we like because it's more fun.
Yeah. And that's a reply to something else. Okay. All right, cool. So we are going to
We're going to play video games.
Yeah, we're going to play some Battlefront here in a minute. So hang around. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook Live, Twitch, Discord, all those things. Keep an eye out because we're going to be live again here in just a few minutes. We'll continue the conversation about Bad Batch or whatever the fuck you want.
Whatever.
Yeah. So we'll see you then. Thanks so much for the chats and the comments and the support. We love you guys so much, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.